Hey guys, it's Mr. Palin here with your MCAS question of the day. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is show you where I got the question, and that is directly from the Department of Education's website. These are the release questions from last year, from spring of 2019, and we're going to start right up here at number 1. So if you look at number 1 right here, the question asks, which of the following is equivalent to this expression? And the expression is negative 5x times, and it's in parentheses, negative 6x squared plus 1. And it gives several different answers here. Now, what this question is doing is it's trying to test your knowledge of a few different things, including the distributive property, and probably really what it's getting at is the rules of exponents here. So I'm going to show you exactly what they are looking for here. So I'm going to bring up my camera right now. There we go. And you can see here that I wrote the problem down. It's negative 5x times negative 6x squared plus 1. So you will know that there's my hand. Okay, good. We'll remember, you've seen this a million times, that the distributive property is you take that number that's on the outside and you multiply it by each number on the inside. Remember drawing those lines like that to show you how to do that. So really it's like I'm making two problems out of this. I'm doing negative 5x times the first thing, which is negative 6x squared. That's the first problem I got to do. And then I got to do the second part, which is the same start, negative 5x, and the last part, which is times 1. All right, so let's start here. I have a negative 5x times negative 6x squared. So the first thing I want to do is, why don't I just take care of those two numbers first? It's easy to multiply numbers. Heck, I can even do it on my calculator if I want. And I have a calculator right here. So if you're the type of person that doesn't trust your own mental math, that's okay. You can just type it into your calculator. Negative 5 times negative 6. We know a negative times a negative is a positive. I pop that in. It is positive 30. So I write a 30 right there. If you have issues with knowing what to do with negative signs, positive signs, things like that, I'm telling you, if you put it in a calculator, you're going to get the right answer as long as you enter it into the calculator right. So it's a surefire way to get that done. But just remember, negative times negative is always a positive. So I got my 30 first. Now I have an x and an x squared. So I have to effectively do x times x squared. Now I'm going to pull up something that I found on the internet real quick. Let me throw that up here right now. And that is the rules of exponents. Okay. So what this means, if I'm multiplying two things together, I multiply, so I keep the same, we call it the base. I have to keep the same base. If the base was A and A, I'd keep it as A. But what do I do with the exponents up there? I have to add the exponents together. So in this case, if I bring up my camera again, in this case, let's make sure my hand can be seen. It can. My base is the x part, right? That's the x. So I have nothing on the x, and I have a 2 on this. And I said we have to add the exponents together. Well, you might be tempted to say, well, it's 2 plus 0, so it should be 2. Unfortunately, no. We have to. This is one of those cases where you put in the imaginary 1. All right? I'm going to put in an imaginary 1 there. Now let's figure out why we do that. Because let's say I had 8 squared. 8 squared equals 64 because it's actually 8 times 8, right? But if I just had 8 to the first, that means it's going to stay the same. It's just itself because I'm not multiplying it by anything at all. So I have that there. And the same thing goes for a variable. If an x is all by itself, it has an imaginary 1 that's just attached to it. And it's not really important if you're just dealing with the variable, but it is important if you're multiplying it and using the rules of exponents. So I actually have 2 plus 1. So it's a little 3 up there. I like to also think of it sometimes as okay, well, I had 1x here and I have 2 x's there. If I multiply those all together, x times x times x, it's x to the third power, which is literally exactly what we got there. So that was the hard part. Over here is our other part, negative 5x times 1. Well, that's easy enough. That's just anything times 1 is itself, right? Negative 5x times 1. So our final answer is 30x to the third minus 5x. Let's go back to our answer sheet and see if that was one of the choices. Spoiler alert, I know it was one of the choices, but I'm going to go back anyway. I'm going to look at it here, and you're going to see that 30x to the third minus 5x is indeed one of the answers. It's that answer right there. So it would be B. So you would confidently put B down as your answer for this question because you now have an understanding of the rules of exponents in the distributive property. Thank you so much. And I will be back tomorrow with another MCAS problem of the day, baby. See you then.